if you want to play like this, then watch this video all the way until the end, because we're going to give you the very best settings in Rogue Company Season 10. So let's start off with display and then work our way across. But I love to play in ultra settings. I don't really care about FPS, and the graphics look sick. Now, there are people that do play in low, especially those that want the extra frames in comp. But for me, look how bland this Lancer skin looks on low graphics. It's just not for me. So we're going to stick with Ultra. Now, audio is a bit of a preference. I'll play with master volume at 75%. Most people will play at 100%. Music is something that I don't really like in the background, but because the music is back and I love some of the bangers currently, I've put it up to 20%, but most of these are going to be personal preference. Now, the sound effects volume I've put up for 100% because you'll want to hear when people are diffusing, so you get some audio advantage. Now, one particular setting that I do love is 3D headphones on, because it just sounds better in my headset, and I'm actually using the HyperCloud headset, and you can hear everything, which in a game like Rogue Company, having audio cues is a huge advantage, especially when you hear all the footsteps running towards you, and the 3D headphones just give you that little bit crisper directional audio. Now we'll move on to controls. I personally use a scuff with 4 paddles, and I'll talk you through my mappings after we get through this bit. But these are going to be perfect for PlayStation and Xbox controls. So hold to crouch off, hold to sprint off, and auto sprint on. We'll skip over the mouse. I don't use mouse personally, but these are my specific controller settings right now. Horizontal and vertical both on 7. Now, horizontal controller ADS sensitivity I have at 65, and that's because you have to move left and right a lot more than you do up and down, and that's why I have my vertical controller sensitivity a little bit lower at 50. But of course, if you want them both the same, that's entirely up to you. Now, left stick dead zone and right stick dead zone, you want to get this as close to 0 as humanly possible. And what this basically means is how far off center you need to move your analog stick before it starts picking it up. The higher the dead zone, the more you have to move your analog stick before it registers. Now, if you're like me or you have an older controller, what you'll find is the lower you get to 0, it might start moving on its own. Just okay, just increase it slightly until that doesn't happen anymore. Now, acceleration boost, I actually have at 50%. And the boost multiplier, I actually have at 1.8, as that helps me turn a little bit quicker when in need. Now, just like my ADS sensitivity, I have the horizontal and vertical for scope sensitivity exactly the same. So horizontal's at 66 as a bit of a random number. It should be 65. And the vertical at 50. But I don't snipe much anyway. We'll leave that to the experts in Igor and Zave. Oh, and static. Now, vibration 100% is off. That's just annoying. And inverted axes are both off as well. Now, everything to do with gyroscope, I'll leave on screen, but I actually have this all set off. Now, let's talk about bindings, and if you have extra paddles on your controller, then this is going to be perfect for you. So I actually use the 2 main ones as jump and roll, and the 2 back ones I have as punch and crouch. I have to have punch binded because it is so annoying to do on controller. What that means is I can keep my thumb on the right analog stick, what I aim with, all the time and never have to remove it. So I'm always going to be ready for a gunfight. Bring it on. Now, some people do actually ask about this, so I'm going to run through it. So if you want accumulative numbers so you know how much damage you've done, this is the place to do it. In the HUD, accumulative display, put that on. And if you want to see the numbers as well, also turn the display damage numbers on. Now, if you also want to see how many frames you're getting, you also have the option to turn your FPS on, and that will appear in the top left corner, I believe. And now the juicy bit, the crosshair. So I actually have the height on 6 and the width on 2 and the crosshair color as white. Now, I do like red and yellow, but I just find that sometimes the red and the yellow blends in with stuff. So I personally opt for white. And although you have a choice for the DMR reticle, I'm never going back to circle. I'm always going to be using a crosshair. And for anyone that just wanted to know, the region that I play on is Europe. So let me know if your settings are similar, but if you want to see these settings in action, then check this video out here. Peace.